brains is the standard of our society when we talk about the essence of a woman. But Mitzi Borromeo wants to go beyond the norms to prove that she is not your ordinary story. Thank you, Mitzi, for coming, and we would like to know your personal story because we have a show called Self-Made. So can you share with us your childhood experience?
Wow, well, I grew up in quite a privileged family, I have to say. My father was a doctor and he married, well, my mother was not really from a well-off family, apparently, but she was Miss Philippines. She was the first Miss Philippines Universe, 1964. So she lived in this very glamorous world. But when we were very young, well, so I was always exposed to that, and she was very much into charity. So as children, she would bring us with her. But when I was 6 years old, she and my father separated. So she left, went abroad, and at some point, she took me with her. Parang na-lonely siya dyan. So I went with her, and at the time, though, our parents didn't talk to us about it. We didn't know it was a separation. We just knew, well, we're away, but we guessed, because no one talked about it then. So I grew up really with my mom, but she was very busy. I didn't realize then she was having a difficult time as a single mother. So we had a love-hate relationship. I think I wasn't the easiest child. I didn't grow up with my brother and sister, so I was more with my cousins, my friends in the States. And I never saw my father again. He died when I was 10. So I feel I didn't really know what it was like to have a father. So I kind of had to find my own way through kind of, looking for mentors, good advice, because my mom wasn't good at that either. So we weren't really a communicative family. So it's something that I sought out on my own. I had lots of relatives in the States, friends. I was very curious all the time, so I was always asking questions. And I think that's how I kind of survived through really reading, watching television, movies, because I felt my parents really weren't there. So luckily, through my life, I was lucky to have people just fall into my life. Meeting you, for example, people like you, great inspirational stories and these, whether they were teachers, friends, strangers even, who have come into my life and have really influenced me today. When I came back after my travels and work abroad, I met this woman. She was the wife of my boss at WWF Philippines. She's a science writer, and I liked her rational thought because my mom was all about religion and just blind faith. Do not ask questions. But here was someone who taught me how to ask questions, to really think critically and not to just believe everything without knowing the truth behind it. So we became good friends in the end, and we would discuss all kinds of topics because I was always interested in science and nature. And that's her forte, and she's a science writer. So I think with her, she became like a sister to me, kind of like a mother, mentor, and until now, we're good friends.
So during that time, having this special mentor to you, what was your dream job?
Well, I always wanted to do something with nature and the outdoors because I love nature, animals. I always dreamed that one day I would work with National Geographic or maybe WWF, which I didn't even know we had in the Philippines. It was abroad. Well, at the time I applied, I wasn't qualified yet, but then I found a local office. So I started here. Eventually, I got the job at the international office in Switzerland. So it was a dream job. I really got to do what I loved, working with nature, going outdoors, working in conservation, traveling the world, meeting people who are really affected by problems that are often far from us. And then eventually when I came back, I put up my own communications company and we did a project with National Geographic Channel, Philippines. So we did the documentary. So I was so lucky I actually got to fulfill those dreams.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So, something to do with media. For some reason, I always wanted to do media, and here I am doing it now with CNN Philippines. And so now I'm back in the media, and I have that the perspective of the overview of how the world works, nature, science, and now in fact a lot of the topics that I dealt with, I bring it up in my work now, and I have that stock knowledge that I can bring back to my work today.
With all those experiences, and you decided to go into media, camera, how was your first experience being live?
Oh, it's nerve-wracking because I was always very nakaka-conscious, so in front of the camera, of course, it's not very natural. First of all, when I first started doing the news, you're reading off a prompter, so I was very robotic. It takes time, it really takes practice, but for me, I enjoy most talking to people because I do the news, but another one is I do interviews on a show called Profiles, where thankfully you were there sharing your inspiring story. To me, I prefer that connection. It's more natural for me because when I'm reading the prompter, it's not really coming from the heart because someone else has written it, and you have to read the news, you have to deliver it for people to know. But for the other show where we dig up the stories, I do the writing and research. We're a team. I find that more personal because I'm able to really make a connection. You're talking to someone. So I think with practice, I hope I've gotten a little more comfortable with it, and it's a little bit better now, but always room to improve.
If you see right now the kids, the millennials, so what's your key advice to them? Like things that you've gone through, that how to overcome this kind of trials or challenges?
Well, I think a big challenge now is technology. Technology is supposed to be there to help humans, but at the end, we're becoming slaves to technology. So now everybody's on their phones, iPads. I always tell my niece, she's now 15, and my other young friends that don't live behind your screen. The world is out there, that you have to face it. Don't be scared of rejection, of loss, because I think with all of us, people who've achieved success had to fall down and they got up. So I think to me, I always tell them, live the real life, experience loss, heartbreak, and we will break our hearts over and over, but don't forget to fall in love, because that's where, and to keep learning things. You fall in love with the world. That doesn't have to be something romantic, but just learning, keep discovering. And when it's always about your phone, it's not so much about putting pictures out there, because now it's like what people think of us. So my advice is to just live and just make mistakes and then keep learning and give back.
What's your last advocacy or legacy that you want to leave behind? I know you're still very young, but you're really doing so many things.
Yeah, well, I just try. I ask people that all the time, so it's so hard. I'm being asked that. For me, it's every day. I am so grateful that I wake up, that I'm alive, and there's still so much I do, and I feel there's never enough time. So for me, it's just taking it a day at a time, and I hope when I go that it's not about the awards or accolades, how people see you, what you've done with your shows, but that people that will know that I want to go without any regrets. People will know, wow, she really lived and loved to the fullest, that she didn't hold anything back. And I hope that's what I'm doing with my work. I just like to encourage people to, make your own story, keep living your life. Don't be afraid to take risks, because in your own little way, you can create a revolution.
Oh, thank you. We love your story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen.
Thank you very much.
All right. Every success has its struggles. Every dream has its trials and tests. Listen to their stories, because if they did it, you can also be self-made.